Argentina, a country that most people associate with soccer and the 2022 World Cup. But there's so much more. I'm going to show you a snapshot of the cultural blend of European and American Indian society that is Buenos Aires.
Hola YouTube, my name is Ari and I want to welcome you to the 43rd country I visited, Argentina. It is 65 degrees today, perfect fall weather, and the perfect time to visit one of the most beautiful libraries in the world, located here in Buenos Aires. Now, frankly speaking, I don't go to bookstores too often because, probably like you, I do most of my reading online. I just got to El Ateneo Gran Splendid, a place that National Geographic calls the most beautiful bookstore in the world.
This bookstore first started out as a performing arts theater in 1919 when it was first opened. 10 years later, in 1929, it was converted into a movie theater where it stayed that way all the way through 2000. After struggling to make this beautiful venue work as a movie theater for so many years, it was converted into the bookstore you see today.
They have a section on YouTubers. Don't know how I feel about that. In the kids section, although these books don't seem to have anything to do with YouTube. And this is the top floor of the most beautiful bookstore in the world. And you can still see where the original stage used to be, all the way in the back of the bookstore. This area has now been converted into a cafe. And speaking of cafes, I have not had my morning coffee yet, so I'm gonna go grab a drink. That's a good frap. You know, this place reminds me of a very, very nice high-end Barnes & Nobles. I shouldn't even say high-end, it's not high-end, it's just books, but of course the decor, very, very nice. Love it, excellently done. And now we're heading to one of the most colorful streets in Buenos Aires and what is definitely a huge tourist trap.
Thankfully, Uber is allowed in Argentina, so you don't have to rely only on taxis to get around.
It is 9:30 a.m. here on Caminito Street in Buenos Aires. The tourists have not yet materialized because it's still early. The vendors are still setting up for the morning crowd. If you want the best unobstructed views of the graffiti and the buildings, come here bright and early. And this is the reality of what you often see on Instagram. There is a giant line to take a photo at this restaurant. And this is, keep in mind, early in the morning when there is no crowds here. During the day, forget it. This is gonna be crazy busy. Honestly, this area is much bigger than what I expected going in. I keep finding other avenues and paths that are crisscrossing and going back and forth. And so this area is a pretty good size, actually. I've been to a similar colorful street in London and in South Africa, and those are much smaller and underwhelming. This feels more like a fully fleshed out neighborhood. I mean, you have your spots for Instagram photos, you have the colorful buildings, you have areas with restaurants like right here. It's pretty good music, there's your tourist stores, there's your supermarkets, so they really have kind of a little bit of everything here. Oh, look at this, I found the back of a restaurant. They are starting up their asados for lunch service. That charcoal smells amazing. And 10 a.m. exactly like clockwork, the tourists are here. Huge crowds of people. So yeah, get here before 10 a.m. if you want the city to yourself to take all the photos you want. So I guess the important question is it worth a visit to Caminito Street in Buenos Aires while you are here? Honestly, it is very touristy, but I have to say, it does kind of have a certain charm to it. You can hear the local Spanish music playing as you're walking by the stores. All the different colored buildings are fairly unique, and they all have sculptures and statues and build-outs of people. Of course, you see Messi everywhere because, you know, World Cup. Surprisingly, I actually enjoyed myself here, and I would definitely come back as a first-timer. Well, this is different. I walked into a little area, and there are these different colored columns around me. Not sure what these are supposed to be. Kind of like an outdoor gym you'd find on Venice Beach in California, but obviously that's not what this is. And now let's head to my next destination here in Buenos Aires. I've noticed that Buenos Aires has a lot of small parks like this scattered throughout the city, which I think is a great idea because it's a very congested urban city right here. So having these green spaces really helps to alleviate some of that pressure, I think. And I don't know, personally, I kind of like having a lot of small parks like this rather than one huge park, kind of like Central Park, you know what I mean? Pull up any tour guide of Buenos Aires and you'll find the Recoleta Cemetery behind me. This is the resting place of Nobel Prize winners, 26 Argentinian presidents, and of course, Eva Perón. The cemetery is located in the Recoleta neighborhood of Buenos Aires, which is one of the more pricier, if not the priciest part of town. And right in front of the cemetery are these beautiful gardens in this public park area. Very nicely done.
Here, people are not buried. People are here are above the ground. We're going to see the coffins here. There used to be, at the beginning, a graveyard cemetery like this. But with this tradition of building these mausoleums, the people began to place the casket above the ground.
Our tour guide did a very good job of going over some of the details of this very large, elaborate cemetery. These mausoleums are owned by various wealthy families here in Argentina, and they are custom designed by architects. Many of them house multiple members of the same family. And you will find many different architectural styles here. There's Roman, there's Italian, there's Greek, there's modern. Anything you can imagine they pretty much have here because they're all custom works of art commissioned by the families of the deceased. This entire cemetery is very well maintained, very clean. You can tell they put a lot of care and effort and money into maintaining this whole area. It's a little morbid, but if you're in Buenos Aires and you want a different experience that you're not going to find in every other city that you're traveling to, it's worth a stop. These are very beautiful works of art that you won't see anywhere else, I think. Honestly, this place reminds me of an outdoor open-air museum. The buildings, the architecture, the layout of the space is beautiful. It is a rainy, overcast afternoon here in Buenos Aires. I am walking over to the San Telmo market. I've been doing a ton of walking today, as I always do when I'm out in a new city vlogging. Honestly, I'm trying to get there pretty quick. I don't have a rain jacket and the rain's getting louder and harder. Almost there. According to the sign, this market was established in 1897. That's pretty cool. Did not know that. Market's supposed to close around 8 p.m. I think during the week, although as you can see, stalls around the entrance are already wrapping up around 6 p.m. But the main vendors down here are still open. I just toured the place. It's about 6:30 p.m. and it is dying down. The restaurant workers are washing their hands, packing up. A lot of the stores were closed, but that being said, I got a general vibe of what there is to offer here. You have a lot of small restaurants which look very appetizing. You have a lot of stores selling antiques. I'm not a big antique person, but if you are, this is definitely a place to come check out. And there's also vendors selling vegetables, fruits, meats, that kind of stuff. So it's your typical overall closed market. Personally, I'd really only come here for lunch, given that it's only 6:30 and they're already wrapping up food service. Not sure why locals aren't coming here for dinner, but they're not. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more of my travels around the world, you can head to my YouTube page and watch more videos there. I'll see you guys in the next one.